Please let's give a round of applause. Thank you very much. The next on our program is research presentation. And that is the core engagement for today. I think the presentation of our findings. Just like I mentioned earlier, I said this particular study started as far back as 2023, and it explored the realities, the challenges, the aspirations and experiences of young female creators between the ages of 18 and 25, working in Nigeria's creative sector. So we examine specific issues like gender inequity, workplace exclusion, safety, remuneration, representation, and institutional support system. So to present the findings of this important study, please join me to welcome Dr. Nweke, the question and Professor behind the scenes project here in Nigeria. Please let's give her a round of applause as she makes her way to the stage. She's trying to project.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. And I want to appreciate Professor Konoji. I want to appreciate the youth researchers who have worked with us over the past 3 years that we've started this project. I also want to thank the MasterCard Foundation and the ICRW who have invested so much on this project to ensure we have all that we have today. And I know that we will also have things to run with. So I'm just building on what Prof and the MC has done. They've given us a background of what we did in this study. So I'm going to run with the findings so that we know what we are up against. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so we started by the Nigerian creative sector itself is porous. And by the creative sector, we have different sectors and different subsectors. So we have the cultural sites, which includes the archaeological sites, museums, libraries, and exhibitions. We have the traditional cultural expressions, art crafts, festivals, and celebrations. And then we have the visual arts, which include paintings, sculptures, photography, antiques, so on and so forth. We also have the publishing and printed media, which include books, press, and the publications. Then we have the performing arts, live music, theater, dance, opera, and so on and so forth. Then we also have the audiovisual sector, which include the subsector of films, TV, radio, and other broadcasting media. So these are the areas we investigated during the course of our research. And in this study, data actually is our weapon. We wanted evidence. It's not enough for someone to tell me in the creative arts that female are facing inequity. or female are being marginalized. In the sector, of course, we know that's very, very, everybody can say that, but evidentially, what is data saying? So data actually is our weapon and we worked with that. The creative sector is the powerhouse of the economy. Nigeria as a whole is gaining massively from it, so they cannot look down on it. Nigeria movie industry, for instance, produces about 2,000 films annually, 2,500 films and more, making it the world's second largest film industry. We also have our music, beats, we also have different festivals and celebrations around Nigeria where all of these taking in millions of naira to the country. But in all of this, women in Africa, they are the brain of all of these cultural expressions, yet they do not value them as much as they should. Not because they are there. We observed all of these problems and we are looking at them one by one. One of the problems we found that women are facing. Now look at what we are saying here. It is not about inequity is different from inequality. It is not about inequality. Women are actually not fighting that let us be at par with the men. Let us have equal opportunity. What the man can do, a woman can do it better. We hear that. But in this sector, we are only asking for what is fair. If we have 100 men in this space, at least we should have up to 3 women having a say. That's what we are saying in the creative sector. We are not saying make it 50-50. If a man is a producer, the woman has to be a producer. No, we are not fighting for position, but we are asking for what is due us. Please give it to us. If we have what it takes to be there, let us have it. So we find out that young women between the ages of 18 to 35 years were the age group we investigated, and find out that these young women are significantly underrepresented in technical roles. They are also significantly underrepresented in leadership. And then women face substantial pay disparities, with 32% experiencing underpayment due to gender. This is one of the problems that is going on in that sector. Over 90% of respondents reported harassment, including sexual propositions and denial of opportunities when refusing advances. This is not like a cast in stone thing. It's systemic and it's entrenched in what we do in this part of the world. So women's success is often linked to transactional relationships rather than talent. If a woman is shining, they will say, oh, perhaps she has networks of men who are doing the thing with her and they are promoting her. Why won't she shine? So those are the things that happen. And we saw that vividly. Our data revealed all of that. Then, internalized gender bias is also one of the things we experienced or we gathered as information during the course of carrying out the study. It is not only external women, on women themselves. Sometimes women themselves also perpetrate these inequities. For instance, I want to make my hair and I get to a salon and they said the person there is a male. Sometimes, because that man is in that space, we assume that he's very good. That's why he's in that space. And women sometimes maybe rather want to say, let him make my hair, instead of meeting a woman that is also an expert. We too ourselves, we believe if a man is within the space that is dominated by women, that means the man is exceptionally good. We have that as a mindset. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Well, so male competence is also assumed even in female spaces. Like we said, if he's a chef, he's very exceptionally good. That's why he's there. Why female competence is questioned in male-dominated space. If a woman is a trumpeter, we'll be asking, because he's a tomboy, or if he's playing the saxophone so well, that one, you must have some gene, male gene in him. That's why, in her, that's why she is exceptional. Or if he's a bus conductor, they will say he's an agbero. You know, we will always look for something to demean the woman. That is what is happening. So women often feel compelled to masculinize their persona to be taken seriously. So if you want to really function properly in those spaces, you have to do something that will make you look like macho. You have to do something that will make people want to identify with you, that Efiele is a man. You understand all of those things that happen within our society. So there is also a vacuum in terms of policy. The policy that we have, in the course of doing this, we gather different evidences, we check through literatures, we check through gray literatures, and we found out that there is this dearth of policy when it comes to the creative sector. Yes, we have regulatory bodies. We have people who have said one thing or the other, who are also fighting to ensure that this is reduced to the barest minimum. However, the policy itself to say, let's run back to this, let's see how we can use this against those who are doing this against the young women, it is really, really scanty. So we have outdated frameworks, poor coordination that creates ungoverned space for the women, where you report somebody harassing you and they will tell you, just take it easy. You'll get over it with time. There is no law that says this person must be punished if he behave this way or the other. Those are the things we experienced. And then in pay gap, the Nigerian creative sector, the pay gap isn't balanced at all when it comes to how women are remunerated. So we've seen all of these. The men, the chart here is showing us the men having upper hand, while the women are just pulling through. And then we also have, in all of these, some women have been able to embrace the use of technology, that, okay, if I don't have that means to get into that space physically, I think I can project my work using the social media, using the availability of different platforms that we have now. So we have social media platforms have enabled women to bypass all of these traditional gatekeepers, allowing them to showcase their work and to connect with broader audiences. We can say thanks to COVID, and somehow we can also say no thanks to COVID. But then we can say thanks to COVID in terms of technology advancement, because it is in the era of COVID that we begin to know that our worth is worth more than we think we are. And that works also for women in the creative space. They demonstrate and they produce their work, and then they showcase their work to the world. And then we also see new media offering women greater autonomy in content creation, in fostering resilience as they navigate the male-dominated industry, with 99% utilizing platforms, different platforms. I know a lot of our youth researchers that are flourishing on these platforms, and they are doing a whole lot of things that is really good, and the world is saying it. So these women also want to function in these spaces, but there are barriers as well, because sometimes high cost of equipment and technology can create these barriers for women, limiting their ability to produce quality content and competent effectively. We've talked about policy gaps, the weakness in it, the regulatory framework. Yes, I remembered when we went to the field, some people we interviewed told us there are laws in place, but they are only on paper. They are not being implemented. That is very, very key to our finding. And then Nigerian creative space, we lack that positive, gender sensitive, positive policy that will help us to help women that are vulnerable, that just want to fall prey to what is happening. We also encounter some cultural norms. Because the study was not predominantly carried out in Lagos, we have other parts of the nation, some states in the nation also took part in these studies, and we saw differences in the way we react and respond to these inequities. In the northern part of the country, for instance, the people we interviewed, some of them responded to how they cannot just do some things because they are female. And some of them also reported how most of the times when they want to, for instance, a photographer said, if he's to take pictures, the men in that state prefer female photographer because of the way, you know, women to women, and they don't allow their wives to go to a male photographer. So cultural norm also helping in that space. We can say women can advance in photography simply because they are, I mean, the culture embraced them. And then we also saw some cultural barriers as well. Some people too, they cannot really express themselves in terms of you are in the movie industry and the culture does not want you to review or to, you must just be on, I mean, hijab and all of those things. And they feel that they are being caged because of all of these cultural differences, religious inclination, and so on. And then we also find out too that in spite of all of this, women are still very much interested in the creative space because they believe that there is career advancement for them. So an impressive number of women, 91% to be precise, says that the sector, they envision a long-term stay in that creative space. They know they can grow, they can thrive in the creative space. So they are determined and committed to thrive despite existing challenges. We know that, and that is the spirit of resilience that we found out in the course of carrying out this study. The social media platform was also a way to show this. So we have some recommendations for change, which this study also proposed. Gender-focused funding, proposed that we should ensure that women have adequate provision for them to thrive in that center by, you know, getting some grants, getting some loans to start up so that they can, address all of these financial barriers that may come their way. And then equal pay, establish and enforce policies ensuring equal pay. Equal pay, I know that that is dicey, but it's something we are proposing that if you must eradicate this barrier we're talking about, do not be biased in the way you pay. Pay based on what you are supposed to pay. Don't say, I'm a woman, I should earn less. After all, I do not have much responsibilities. I have a man that will always cater for my need. Pay me based on my ability, pay me based on what the structure of payment actually is. And then we also see there should sometimes also be, all the time, independent ethics ombudsman. Somebody that can just be neutral to say that, oh, I am not taking side. This is done to this person. Justice needs to be served. This is done to that person. Let's ensure that there is no discrimination in the way judgment is turned out. Infrastructure investment is also one of those things we are advocating for if we must get this change. Invest in building theaters, studios, cultural centers. The needs is massive. We cannot exhaust all that is needed to stand in that creative space. We need a whole lot to ensure that we do all of this. We also, someone will come and talk to us about policy in this program, so I won't really do much, but then we should look out for targeted funding for women creatives, regulatory oversight for gender equity, then workspace safety and accountability. We talked about that. We should also help them in a way to leverage technology. A lot of them said they are looking forward to an opportunity where the younger women or the younger girls will also learn this technological know-how so that they will be able to help this space to also grow to its maximum, and then support women's leadership and ownership. If a woman is a leader in a space, the men should not bring in the patriarchal ego to say a woman should not be over me as the head. Women in leadership do a lot, and they do a whole lot to make sure that a space grow. So it takes the cooperation of men under them to actually thrive. So there should be cooperation, there should be support for them to grow. And then all of these access to equipment, we've talked about that. This is just a kind of what the creative sector actually give to people to make sure that, to tell you that this space is actually a very lucrative one. So we are saying that women face all of these things. Women face this, women face that. But then we are powerful. The creative space is powerful. It is something we should encourage to grow in our little space. Therefore, urgent reforms are needed, including gender-focused funding, regulatory oversight, community advocacy. And then when we address all of these barriers, we can empower women and unlock the full potential of the industry so that we can enjoy the growth, we can enjoy more inclusive way of helping ourselves to also grow, and then we also enjoy the benefits that comes from the creative space. Thank you very much.
Please, let's give Dr. Associate Professor Nweke a round of applause again. So, thank you very much, Ma, for that insightful presentation. So, the truth of the matter is, anecdotal evidences have shown that these challenges exist. But in the scientific community, we don't rely on anecdotal evidences. We only use them to support claims, but we do not exclusively rely on them. And that is the reason why we have decided to carry out this study in order to understand scientifically what are the challenges that women in the creative sector actually face. So please, once again, let's give her a round of applause. While she was making her presentation, a lot of us were looking at the screen. We were looking at statistics. But the truth of the matter is, what we are doing here is just beyond statistics. We are presenting the lived experiences of female creatives in the African, or let me say Nigerian creative sector. They represent the voices of young women trying to make names for themselves and trying to as well play in the creative ecosystem here in Nigeria. Dr. Nweke, thank you so much once again for that presentation. So I want to acknowledge the presence of our distinguished guests who are just joining us. We have in our midst the head of department of sociology here, Professor Eshet. Please let's give her a round of applause. She's a professor of gender and development studies. It's not easy. You're welcome, Ma. Also, we have, who have just joined us, one of our panelists, Mrs. Yolanda. Please, let's give her a round of applause. Or Miss Yolanda, let's give her a round of applause. So we have Karonwi Fumilola. Please, let's give her a round of applause. We have Mrs. Jennifer Maduka, who has just joined us. She's also our guest. Let's give her a round of applause. We also have Mrs. Fiona Davids, Miss Fiona Davids. Let's give her a round of applause. And also to the University of Lagos students who have just joined us, give yourself a round of applause. And thank you so much for joining us today. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, research becomes much interesting when we move away from data to conversation. And that is what will take us to the next session of this event, which is the panelist or panel conversation
panel discussion. We have listened to the presentation of Dr. Nweke. Now we need to have a conversation. Are we together? So we want to move from research to practical reflection. And this session is going to be moderated by our very own Dr. Oluwaseun, who is also a youth researcher on this project. Please kindly give her a round of applause as she comes to the stage to introduce our panelists.
Thank you very much for that, Jimmy. And a big thanks to Dr. Wiki for the very concise presentation, showing all that we have found, on this project so far. As Falajimi said, behind every statistics is a person. Behind every statistics is a human story. And so it may appear that what we have presented today may seem abstract to us, but in fact is the realities, of the Nigerian creative sector. And so to give us more insight, to share the very realities of what we're talking about, are four distinguished women who are, graciously graced us today, who will be sharing their stories with us, putting a story behind the statistics that we have presented to you all. And so, like I said, we have four distinguished women who I would please call one at a time. So what I want to do is to call us one by one, then we'll stand in front while I read your profile, so that way everyone is able to put a face to the name. I hope that's fine. So we'll be starting with Mrs. Karonwi Fuminola. It's come to the front. Thank you very much. Please, I want us to encourage them, give them a warm applause as they come forward. Mrs. Karen Wee from Lola is a dedicated tourism officer with the Lagos State Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture, committed to promoting tourism, arts, and cultural development within Lagos State. With a strong passion for tourist and creative sectors, she has contributed to initiatives that enhance cultural awareness and support the growth of tourism-driven opportunities. Known for her professionalism and commitment to excellence, Mrs. Fumlola continues to play a valuable role in advancing the cultural and tourism landscape of Lagos State. Please, can we give a warm applause again? Next on the panel is Miss Yolanda. Just can you come forward? Thank you. Miss Yolanda is a multifaceted creative and event host with strength in storytelling, content creation, red carpet hosting, and writing. She's passionate about creativity and meaningful dialogue, transforming conversations into moments that spark ideas, build connection, and inspire action. With a background in theater arts, she brings energy, depth, and authenticity to every experience, whether on stage, on screen, or in front of a live audience. She blends structure with warmth, ensuring a seamless flow with keeping audiences present and engaged. Beyond hosting, she's passionate about media, leadership, and volunteering, and believes storytelling is a powerful tool for influence and meaningful impact. Please, can we give her a warm applause again? Next on the panel is Miss Jennifer Matuka. Jennifer Maduka is a distinguished soprano and award-winning vocalist whose extraordinary range spans the technical rigor of classical opera to the emotive depth of contemporary performance. Certified by the Royal School of Music, London, and Muson School of Music and the University of Lagos, artistry is built on a foundation of rigorous classical training. A prominent member of Muson Opera, Jennifer has graced the stage in numerous acclaimed productions, most notably the French opera Cendrillon, also known as Cinderella, where she delivered a celebrated portrayal of the fairy godmother. Her versatility extends further into Broadway theater, where she has starred in multiple productions, demonstrating a seamless command of complex musical scores and compelling dramatic performance. Recognized with the prestigious Best Operatic Female Singer Award, Jennifer is a sought-after soloist for high-profile international engagement, having performed for the French Embassy, the Italian Consulate, the British Council, the American Quarters, the African Parliament, and various events hosted by the Lebanese diplomatic. Establishing, yes, she's deserving of its space. Let's keep it up. Thank you. Establishing her as a leading voice on the global stage. Beyond performance, Jennifer is the co-founder of The Classic Attitude, a collective of classically trained professionals dedicated to elevating performance standards and broadening access to art, producing 3 to 4 major concerts annually. She's also advancing her expertise in business strategic management and international business, bringing a sophisticated, data-driven lens to the work in the creative industry. Driven by deep commitment to equity, Jennifer aims to build and partner with organizations dedicated to empowerment of women and children, championing excellence, inclusion, and impact, both on the stage and in the boardroom. Next on our panel is Fiona Davis. Please, can we give her a round of applause? Fiona Davis is a media producer and presenter currently working with Wedding Channel Africa, the first 24-hour African television channel dedicated to weddings, love, and lifestyles content on DSTV and GoTV. With experience both in front of and behind the camera, she has worked across television production, entertainment, programming, digital storytelling, and brand content. Through her work in media and creative industry, Fiona is passionate about conversations surrounding women's rights and empowerment. She's also the convener of Fierce Finesse Network, a women-focused community aimed at empowering young women to live boldly, grow confidently, and embrace their full potential. Our work and interests sit at the intersection of media, storytelling, women's empowerment, and culture. Once again, please, can we give a warm applause to our panelists? Thank you, everyone. I've deliberately taken time out to read their profiles, so we know those, we're having on our panel. So these are not, in quotes, small women in the industry. And like I said, what the intent of this panel session is to really dig deep into the statistics, put a story to the statistics, and then help us see how these women have identified these inequities we've talked about and how they've been able to navigate the challenges, breaking the barrier, and get to the point where they are. You're very much welcome. So I think the first question I have is just to set the tone, is a question of how would you describe first your journey so far in this Nigerian creative space, right? Dr. Nweke earlier presented the fact that this is a key industry contributing about 2.5, right, to Nigeria's GDP. Yeah, about 2.7 million people are employed. However, just 1/3 of women, have equal access, right? So to you, how would you describe your journey so far? And at what point did you realize that women, in fact, have to overcome a different set of challenges or different set of peculiarities within this industry, right? So I will start with Miss Jennifer, and then we'll take it across. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be here because topics like this are things I'm very passionate about. Self-development, self-development and women empowerment. So coming from a classical background and as an opera singer, we know how not so popular in Nigeria that genre of music is. So for you to make it through, you should understand the kind of struggle you must get to, deal with on a daily basis, right? So I would say one word for my journey has been resilience. I push through because of the passion I have. And I know that I want to stand as a middleman one day for women in the creative industry. So this motivates me to not just only know about music. Right now, by God's grace, I'll be rounding up my master's degree from an American university for international business. So, thank you so much. Thank you. So now I am trying to break that barrier that sometimes society has, that musicians are not intelligent people. You know, musicians are not intelligent people. You are in the music because you're trying to shy away from the technical parts of life, which is not true. Music for me is fulfillment, right? It is something I find joy in doing. So it doesn't mean I am not brilliant or I can't be a leader, you know, just because I'm a musician. I don't know how much time I have, but I want to say that some of the change we require needs to happen within us as women. That's okay? Oh no, I'm not done, sorry. So I will just ask a question briefly. How many of us in this room know about legal rights in the creative industry? Like deeply know it, not that you just heard about it. How many? Just one. And we are how many women in this room? So the change we require sometimes needs to happen within us. A research, according to Women in Control, an organization in UK that fosters women empowerment. In 2026, they released a report about a decline in leadership in the creative industry. So gap in leadership is one of the problems we have. Imagine, according to their report, the data they submitted, as at 2024, we had 52% of women in leadership. But 2026, we have 49%. What happened? I thought the motto was forward ever and backward never. What happened? Who changed it? Did they change it and I wasn't aware? Please, did they change it? So one of the major problems is because we women, sometimes we are too relaxed in the industry. We feel like the technical aspect of the music or the creative art is not for us. That is why you find that a lot of women, a lot of women in the creative industry, in the music industry, let me talk about where I'm coming from. We just want the fancy side of the business, the glamour, the stage, the exquisite dressings, you know, and being called a superstar. But outside that stage, behind the scene, what are you bringing to the table aside being a singer, being fantastic? That is why you see tomorrow you wake up and you hear things like a popular superstar, you know, her publishing rights got taken by her manager and she no longer has the right to her music and she was pushed out. It is because we women, we relax a lot. We don't try. We don't get interested in the technical aspect of it. I just asked the question and only one person in this room knows about legal rights in creative art. Another report by Prospect Luminate, another organization in UK, reported lack of mentorship. 88% of women reported lack of mentorship in their careers. And I ask, is it because there are no mentors or because there is no continuity? Is it because there are no mentors or because there is no continuity? There are female leaders in the creative art, quite all right, but they get old. Some fall sick. Some retire. When that space is empty, who goes in? Who takes it up? And that is why as women in the creative art, we have to start getting interested in knowing about the technical parts of it. So that when there are opportunities to lead in some of these organizations, we don't start looking for people to feel it. And then the nearest person we could find is a man who knows it. Right? And then this causes a decline in leadership for women. And then should we talk about the societal trauma that happens to women? Can I continue?
I want to just give me a minute. Let's hold your thoughts a bit so that we're still going to come there, right? But I want us to describe, like I said, the very moment where you realize, you know, there's something called threshold concept, you know, where you realize something and you never recover from it. What was that moment like for you where you knew that, you know, women faced a different set, you know, of challenges in this Africa? What was that moment like for you? So that's what I want us to describe first before
Okay.
we then go on into the conversation.
So for me, it was in 2022. I had my debut, a concert. This concert, I worked so hard for it, right? In fact, I had a lot of white people as my audience. About 95% were whites, right? And how did I get there? I was invited before my concert, actually, like a month before. I was invited to the French embassy to sing their national anthem. On the day of the national anthem, I flew in from Port Harcourt from another event. These are some of the sacrifices we make for our career. So I flew in and I was able to do my job diligently. They were so, so happy, amazed that a Nigerian was singing their anthem, was singing in French, and you were singing opera. In Nigeria, they believe that opera is something of the Western culture, So they were really, really impressed. And the Lawrence Montmeron, who was the ambassador to Nigeria, the French ambassador to Nigeria, walked up to me, hugged me after that rendition. And then she asked me, do you sing opera regularly? And I said, oh, yes. In fact, my concert is next month, 4th of September it was, which happens to be my birthday. So she was like, amazing. Please, I need to announce it because I want everybody here to attend. They were all whites. So she went ahead and announced my concert and everything. People were like, oh, great, great. They took my cards, asked me to send reminders and everything. I did. I sent reminders and everything. And that day, the hall was full, 95% white people. The concert was great, but only for a close friend of mine who was seated in that audience to tell me, Jennifer, this is what I heard two people saying. They were saying, who did you sleep with? That you are able to get white people to fill this place. It broke me, I'm not going to lie, because I knew the work I put in. In fact, I wasn't motivated in a long while because I was like, what's the essence if I do something that I put my heart into and then the credit gets taken away from my hard work and intelligence and given to me being sexualized, right? So that was the point. It really, really broke me, I'm not going to lie. And that was the point I knew that something needs to be done. Because I was strong enough to get back up. What of another creative, another woman who isn't strong enough to actually get back up?
I'm still going to come
that?
back to you on what you did,
Okay.
to recover from that experience. So, ma'am, please can you share with us?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to be here. I represent Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. Like the experience I have in this field, I realized that young women creatives are underrepresented. In my department, I'm in creative arts department, people bring proposals for support, for their music, for their productions, for their Lagos State Lagos State does that we support people. When they bring their proposals, we look through it. Do they need financial support? Do they need endorsements? Well, I realized that it is only male leaders that brings the proposals. Why? When we say come for meetings, we'll realize that they are only males. Where are the young female representatives? So I realized that in this industry, young females are underrepresented as directors, as executive producers. Is it that we are shying away? Is it that we feel we can't stand? Is it that we feel we can't exploit on our own? So in my own experience as in the creative sector, I think mostly young females, they are underrepresented. And lately, now, I think we are now striving, we are now doing very well to increase our representation in the African continent. We are trying to reshape ourselves. We are trying to reshape the continent, but we are not doing better. Most of the meetings we are having, we are seeing male representatives. Most of the endorsements we are giving male representatives. We are the young females. What are we doing? Is it that we are not, I don't know. Is it that we are not encouraged enough? Is it that we don't know about it? Look at everyone seated here. We have more of the females than the males. After listening to this, after being involved in this, where do we go after this? Do we go to hide in our outskirts? Do we go inside her house? No. I want every young males in the creative sectors to work harder, to strive more. We are doing that, to come out, not hide in our closets, to come out more. We are doing that, but let's do that more. In my own perspective, because I'm in creative sector, and as well, I've diversed because I want multiple profits. I've diversed into catering. I do catering as well. But we have a group, we have a platform where we have more of the females. I must tell you, the few male people that we have among us, they are the ones that are the presidents, and we have the vice president, the male ones. What about we females? Is it because we are underrepresented or what? Is it because we can't do better? And we are the people that are much in the platform. But the president we have is a male. The vice president we have is a male. What about we that we are doing better? Is it that our voices are not heard? Please, let's continue to strive.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Good morning. Still morning. Good morning, everybody. At the risk of sounding cliche, it is an honor to be here. And I would describe my creative journey so far as being very multifaceted, in the sense that from theater to media to event coordination to content creation, digital creation, and just beyond that to producing events, creative events, theater events, and all of that. It has been a cocktail of experiences, I would say. And I think I would pinpoint the first time that I really was aware personally of the divide that there was between the males and the females in the creative sector was a time when I was producing a particular production, and I'm the producer, and then I had a male director working under me, and we were given, it was a school production, and we're given the task to do, and the hierarchy is the producer to the director. The director actually basically has autonomy more or less over the creative aspect, but then the producer is the one that supervises and makes sure that everything is what it's supposed to be, that we are on track and everything. That was my role. And then they gave us the theme to work with. And that evening I called the call across with my director so that we can just get started on some background work. And then when we're having our first physical meeting, it's not like we're just trying to flail around or whatever. We have a structure that we want to work with. We have a timetable already to work with. And he didn't pick my call. And I sent him messages. It was a weekend. I sent him messages, numerous messages over the weekend, and he just aired me. And I saw that he was posting actively on his status. So I'm like, what's going on here? Did some glitch happen over 3 days? And I'm like, okay, the work will go on now. If you will not do something, I will do something. And then we had our first physical meeting. And afterwards, I called him, Alpha, what's going on now? You just aired me. What's up? What's going on? And then he said, well, he felt disrespected that when they gave me the theme to work with, I did not schedule a physical meeting with him. I did not come and meet him to say, okay, this is what they gave me. What should we do? And I'm like, cool. Let me just use local parlance. Koyemi. I didn't understand. What do you mean? Since when did phones stop becoming an effective way to communicate? And it would have, maybe on its own, it could have passed for pride, maybe. But then because this is somebody that I had already seen lay down patterns by the things that they say, by the opinions that they have, by how they relegate people or females in our group works, it's kind of had a deeper meaning for me. So you mean that because I'm female, you cannot be subject to my authority? I didn't set the rules. I was made producer. If I was made producer, it's because they saw that I could do the work. So why would you not listen to me? Or I wasn't even coming as a kind of authoritative person. I was like, oh, let's just talk now. Let's just see how we're going to work this out. And then you did not answer me because you felt like I should have brought a bunch to the power. This is what they gave us. Let us work. So I think that's, and then, on a broader spectrum, maybe sometimes you just be in the car and then somebody makes a mistake and then, oh, now woman. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's like, and when they even see that a man that made a mistake, and a man, why are you going to make that kind of mistake when you not be woman? What do you mean? So those kind of incidents that have happened have just made me open my eyes to see that there is actually a divide that must be addressed. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here in our midst today. So for me, I think right from when I was a kid, to be fair, I've always been very much aware of the divide and how much women are sort of underrepresented and looked down on, right? So I've always had a certain mindset of, like working twice as hard, doing what is necessary to show that I don't believe in the agenda that, women should not be in positions of power or whatnot, right? And by the time I got into the creative industry, I mean, my experience is very similar to Yolanda's. I'm a producer. So, and when it comes to like technical, a lot of the time, there's not a lot of female producers and females on the technical crew and all of these female cameramen and whatnot. You don't get that. Very rare, actually. So you're working with more men. And a lot of the time, automatically, when they see you and you're a female, they just think it's a female. So you give an instruction and somebody's dragging their feet. And then you see a male producer give an instruction and the guys are moving very quickly. And it's so annoying. It can be so heartbreaking sometimes because a lot of the time you're even in charge of the production. So sometimes you have to relegate duties or relegate giving instructions through somebody else. So initially, that's what I used to do. But at some points, I came to a realization that no, if I keep doing this, then I'm sort of giving my power away. If I think that I have to give instructions through a male counterpart in order for the others to, take action on it or whatnot. So I started to do it directly myself. There was this one time I had someone very new, actually. It was a person, I think maybe first or second day at work. And I told him, oh, we're about to shoot. I'm the producer, it's my show. So I'm like, oh, for the sets, let's change what's on the mannequins. And I tell him where to get what he needs. He goes there and comes back and says, oh, he can't find it, that I should go and bring it myself or something. And I'm like, is it me this guy is talking to? Sorry, you say what? Because I'm like, why do you think it's okay? He said it in a very derogatory manner even. So why do you think it's okay to speak to me that way? Because you think I'm a female or you're a guy. So I've come to realize a lot of the time there are many males or many men who do not find it easy to work under a female just because they have a bias, and it has nothing to do with you ideally as a female because and sorry, no shade to the men, but unfortunately it's just our reality, right? Of course, there are men who do well with, working under females. That is not to say that it applies to everyone, but we know that generally that's what it is. So I think as a female, you would definitely have experienced it one way or the other. My experiences are not like overly overt, but then again, that is what my reality is. And I think as females, we're going to have to do better. Just like my co-panelists have also said, there's definitely underrepresentation across board, not just even in the creative industry, across board. Because even in the creative space specifically, we have more women on the front-facing positions rather than in executive positions or in positions of influence or at decision-making levels. And I think that it's very important for us to start to see beyond and think bigger, really, and know that it is possible for us to be in the boardrooms as well, in the decision-making positions. And it's not just, for the men alone. It is possible. I mean, we have brains, we have dreams. Sometimes I've come to realize, I've heard people say that, oh, they prefer to have females on their team because they're more diligent and getting their work done. But I think that we just don't realize how much more we're capable of. And it's very important that we do and realize that we're made for so much more. And, and then it's time for us to start to strive to stay informed, because I think that the reason even many women will not show for certain meetings and whatnot is I think they're not just interested or they're not even aware. There's a lack of information. So I think it's necessary that, we just start to strive to do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fiona. I was able to pick a few points, as discussion was ongoing. But I have a very key question, and that's do you think that you started off saying that, right? That usually you think is more of an external bias, but do you think it's predominantly that, or there's a factor of internal bias as well, causing this? Because, pointing back, I will always refer back to our findings, right? So what Dr. Nweke said, we found that, a lot of internal bias is also at work in this case.
Oh, I definitely agree. I think it's both ways. There's both an internal and external bias. I think to a good extent, we've been socialized to believe that women, because I think when women do not see other women in certain positions, if you've never seen a female president before, a lot of the time you start to think that automatically that position is just meant for a man alone. You don't even strive to try to get it. So I think it's both internal and external. And I think to a good extent too, men are also very good at being resilient and shaking off disappointment and defeat, would I say, for lack of a better word. So men are very good at it. And I think it's very important that women start to develop that thick skin as well, such that you experience a fallback or whatever the case may be, and you keep going regardless. You try, you're going to fail sometimes, but it's important that you know that, you will try multiple times and eventually you get it. If you can dream it, one of my favorite sayings is if you can dream it, you can do it. So it's important that we start to dream bigger in first place.
Thank you. Jennifer, you mentioned earlier, she said it's easier for the men to shake off disappointment, right? They are able to face it headlong, rather unlike women. But you mentioned that one key thing that stood out for you is resilience. And then I said I was going to piggyback on that and come back to you on sharing strategies that you have adopted into overcoming the challenges in this industry. So please, can you share with us?
So one of it is looking back and seeing all I've done to that point, and I wasn't ready for it to be destroyed. So I put in a lot of work, right? And I wasn't ready for a random stranger in my story to come in and tell me how to feel about it or tell me who I should be, right? So I just got the motivation from my work that I've done. So that was why I mentioned earlier that self-development is very important. Self-development is very important. It motivates you to want to go higher, to reach higher. You understand? So because of how far I've come, it was easier for me to just spring back up because I wasn't ready to lose everything I've worked for.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Do you want to share? Yes, please. The strategies you've adopted in overcoming these challenges.
All right. So, I mean, very similar to what she said. It would hurt, obviously, because nobody likes to be judged based on just because, I look different than you. But you also remember that your worth is not tied to whatever that person says. But another thing that I want to really, really double down on is that we need to do the work. It makes me remember a meme I saw somewhere, and then the person was like, "Oh, you'll be crying imposter syndrome, imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's not imposter syndrome. You don't know what you're doing, and you are a fraud, and they will catch you. They will soon catch you." And it is true. I've also painfully noticed that many times people are crying representation. I mean, not to discredit that, but when they now do the work, and then you can't, and it makes us that can do the work look bad because you yourself will not own your journey. You will not develop yourself. You're running away from the extra work. Or when you leave class, you don't go, more often than not, you open your phone and you're just feeding your brain with brain rot content on, how to build this person, how to this, how to that. And you don't develop yourself. So when they actually give you that representation, what do you do with it? So I also want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. And it also makes me know that, okay, I know my worth because I worked for this. I know that I had sleepless nights for this. So like she said, it's not some random person that's going to come and, determine how I feel about myself because you don't know what I did to get there. I actually did. And I'm not even saying, some extravagance, but I actually did the work. So do the work and then, be confident in the fact that you actually are certified to be there. And then, also just try and not let it gets to you, are human beings, right? But just try not to let it define your journey at large. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Doing the work. So now I'm thinking it's one thing to do the work internally. It's another thing to have support systems. It's other thing to have, structures, institution, policies, that encourage such. For example, we mentioned that, there's no strong gender sensitive policies in the creative sector. And we know what policies do. They help to institutionalize certain things that encourage, these things. So I'm wondering, ma'am, what is the Lagos State doing, your ministry doing, to help encourage young women? I mean, you have faced it, you see it, it's your everyday reality. You even said it yourself. Number of people will submit proposal, but what is the Lagos State actively doing, in this space?
Thank you. One, we are creating awareness. Awareness is number one. To make people know that you have to bring your proposal. This is what I'm also doing here. When you have proposals, bring it. When you have anything you want to do, we will support. Come to the right channel. You don't have to know who to know who. No, don't know anybody. Come to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. Go to the our permanent secretary's office and submit your proposal. You don't need to know me. You don't need to know anybody. We have a department that looks into that. We have the tourism promotion. We have the creative arts department. We look into each proposal. You don't have to be a male. You don't have to be a female. That is part of what Lagos State is doing to support young women creatives. So that, well, now that we are aware, let's tell others. Let's do that. We don't have to wait that, oh, I don't have a fund. I don't have access to funding. I don't have, how do I like music that needs resources, like film production that needs large resources. Don't think we don't have access to funding and now sit down. As a young women creative, let's go out, come to Ministry of Arts and Culture with support. Even if there are no financial supports, we give endorsements so that you can seek support outside. Yeah. Once we have seen that, okay, this is good, this can help this can help the economy to grow. This is a good idea. This is a good initiative. We support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Speaking of support, Fiona and Jennifer, you both co-founded, institutions, would I call it, or initiatives, right? That is helping to target issues of inequity and bridge the gap. So do you want to share with us, how you came about doing that? What was that you saw that made you realize that you needed to do something in this space to encourage?
So for me, the target or the goal for my community or my initiative is basically younger girls across board, younger girls in like secondary schools and whatnot. Because I feel like at that point of your life, that part of your life is very what's the word now? That's the word I'm looking for. But basically, that part of your life is very important because what you consume at that point, right, sort of shapes your mindset. Because at that point in time, people are already deciding, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. People are already deciding, oh, I've seen other women be this, I've seen other women be that, I want to be that, At that point, people are also thinking, I don't think I really want, I just want to be a guy's wife. I mean, if that's what you want, it is what it is. It's just... It's just at that point in time, it's very formative. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. So I just thought it was very necessary to speak to younger girls and let them know the possibilities of what they can become. The idea is to create awareness. It depends on what you want to be really, because I mean, there are vast opportunities. But the idea for my initiative was there's a good number of, because I've spoken to lots of young girls. At some point, I was working in an office that was all female. So I had access to speaking to, and I was manager. So a lot of people came to me with their issues to talk to me about different things. And I just realized how unaware or naive a lot of young girls could be. I don't know, both health-wise, when it comes to even female health, when it comes to relationships, managing finances, unfortunately, these are not things that women necessarily talk about in their gatherings, especially when it comes to finances. But sometimes when you hear the gathering of men, you can hear them discussing investments, stocks, and whatnot, business opportunities. So I just felt like it was very necessary to have a community where we're discussing all things, where we're able to basically fan the flames when, you know, life starts to quell your fire, right? So that was basically what it was for me.
Thank you, Jennifer.
So for me, I wanted to stop the abandonment of certification, right? So when I created my group, we just finished from music school. And looking at the people before me, right? Before me, yeah, I realized something. After studying music, some start to sell clothes. Some turn to hairdressers, right? It is like, you know, and then you wonder, like, this person used to be fantastic when we were in school. What happened? Right? And then you figure that they start staying in this other part of their lives that they are trying to make their survival mode from. And then the educational part of what they study starts to wane off. So I created my group because I didn't want that. My sets were very fantastic, right? I wished I could carry every one of us, but I didn't have the capacity. So I just created a 6-man group, 5 singers and 1 pianist, right? So what we did concerts every now and then. It wasn't easy, but every year we made sure that we had 2 to 3 concerts. We seeked for sponsors. Some turned us down because we're classical singers then. You know, if you're not Afrobeat, how do you want to bring them money? And me, I don't know how to do jaga 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 jaga. It has my own style is, you know. So, but that did not make me go back to my shell. I fought for it. So we kept having shows. Alliance Française, I have to mention them because they were parts of that journey. They gave us that venue for 3 years. Yeah, they partnered with my group for 3 years. We kept doing our shows there. And from there, we started growing our community. People knew us. So every time we put out flyers, oh, the Classic Attitude, we're having a concert. People are buying tickets. People even email us and send us DMs. When is your next concert? When is your next concert? As at last year, we didn't have any concert at all because we were tired. We wanted to rest from the previous ones we've been having. And we got messages. What's happening? There's no concerts this year, blah, blah. We kept saying, just wait, next year we'll do another one. Next year we'll do another one, right? And by God's grace, 2 members of my team, one is in London and one is in US, studying, doing amazingly well. Thank you. So what my group did now, we replaced. They are still members of the group. One is in UK. So our future plan tomorrow is we should have like branches. Before you know, we'll have the Classic Attitude in UK, the Classic Attitude in the US, you know, just like that. And we're all over the place, just having fun. So when those 2 people left, we now took 2 other people from the same music school who were doing great, who just graduated from the Mission School of Music. So we replaced it, a soprano and a tenor, right? So that's how we've been doing it. And we give ourselves the opportunities and, of course, small money here and there. But the most important thing, visibility as a classical singer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Women supporting women. It's a thing, right? So I want to take it to Mrs. Karawi and Yolanda. Do you find the same support? I mean, in your part of the creative sector, do you find women who have supported you, or are you also supporting younger women? And how has that played out for you?
Yes, I do. I have women who have supported me. Starting with my mom. My mom has been one of my biggest supporters. Like, there's nothing that I always carry my mom and my dad along, actually, but you know, because of the question that pertains to women, my mom would always, she may not always understand what I'm doing.
Okay.
But she knows that, you know, I will just be diligent in what I'm doing and I'm doing it well. And then she's all for it. When she can come, she will come. We always have like a major production that we do every year in school, and she has not missed one. The first time she came, my group happened to win, I was producing. Second time, I also happened to win, I was producing. Third time, you know, win some, lose some. The fourth time will not necessarily be a competition, but you know, I have that. Then I also have women who have gone before me. I'm not even going to look too far. Sitting in front of me right here is my friend, Tomi. Tomi was ahead of me. And, she used to compare, when she saw that I also used to compare, I'm professional compare, beg your pardon. She would always put me on for jobs. She will always give me advice, all of that. So yes, I cannot say that I have lacked women that have supported me. And I, in turn, I'm returning the favor. When I see young ones like in year one that look up that, oh, they like what I'm doing. I'm like, sure, why not? Do you have any question? I'm very reachable. Reach out to me. I'm going to tell you what you need to know. I don't believe in gatekeeping. I will tell you what you need to know. So we can all grow together. Come on and change the narrative.
Thank you, Yolanda. Ma, I know it's your work, based on what you do at the ministry, but I want to know on the personal efforts of yours, especially for the culinary aspect of it. You said you have a group, and then women are not in leadership. Is it very difficult to push? Oh my God, we are behind you.
Yeah, the thing is, on my own, we have a group. I have a group too.
Okay.
I have so many staff under me. She's one of them. To be PA. I have staffs that work for me.
Okay.
The thing is, I carry them along. I let them know that all these things we can't do it alone. Because I also have a mentor. We always have a mentorship program. We have a training where we let the young people meet the senior professionals, where we educate ourselves. We organize trainings where people are trained to know what you have to know so that you can keep progressing. So we can't do things on your own and feel, no, this is how it is done. Because there are some things that you do and you feel that this is how it is done. No. When senior professionals tells you that, no, this is how it is done, or you can do better or do more, you will tend to be productive. So on my own, have group. And we have so many females, young, especially young ones. We have adults too, but I have more of the young females that I carry along. And that's what I've been doing. Most of them are outside the country. Most of them, they have gone to school because I have people that are not in school yet. They did the free secondary school, they join us, they get trainings, they go to school. After school, they can still join us before they start on their own. That is what we have been doing. And it has been helpful.
Can we please appreciate all of them for this effort? Thank you so much. Just to mention, we'll be of course, we're receiving questions. If you have any questions so far for the panel members, please do well to write it out, or if you're able to speak, we'll give you the mic. So shortly after this discussion, we'll be receiving questions from the audience. I just wanted to put that out. Thank you. We're also rounding up the discussion shortly, but maybe one or two questions before we end is, we've listened, this is the situation of things, right? If there's one thing you want to change, a policy, a norm, a practice, in this creative sector, what would it be? Or if there's anything you want to recommend, what would that be? I'll start with Yolanda, and then we'll go around the room.
If there was one thing that I wanted to change, I think it may be a long shot, but I think it's not necessarily a policy, but the internal bias. I cannot sit here and lie. I've also been in those shoes before, where I see, maybe because of maybe patterns that she had shown me before, I see a girl that's somewhere and I'm like, I look at it with scrutiny. So I've also been there, right? Or maybe see a woman in power that's misbehaving, and not just, instead of addressing just the art, I'll address the artist, if you get what I mean. Like, instead of just addressing what they're doing, I'll address the fact that, oh, this is why they don't put women in power, because people are. So it can be a very dangerous place to be, because it's counterproductive. On one hand, you're trying to change the narrative so that when you are in power, you don't get people to see you that way. So you shouldn't also see other people that way. So we shouldn't, when we see our fellow women making it big, excelling, beg your pardon, our first response should not be, oh, what if? How about we just see that she's doing a good job, appreciate that she's doing a good job, because more often than not, they're actually doing a good job. But instead of looking at what they're doing right now, you're looking at, how did they get here? How did they get here? And it kind of does us more bad than it does us good. So I think that was something that I would like for us to change generally. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone can go up next.
So for me, it will be success shaming. Yeah. What I mean by that is, like I explained earlier, downgrading the intellectual work and intelligence of a woman and giving it to a narrative that is not even true, right? And then the psychological trauma caused by the society. Creatives, we are human. We are not gods. The same blood that is running in your vein outside is the same thing. We have feelings. We get depressed, so we have these emotions as well. So when you hear sometimes the society will say something like, oh, she's successful. She doesn't want to get married. It's like it's only success. You now get married. Oh, she's now married. She's not pursuing career again. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. They now say, okay, she doesn't want to give birth. She's focusing. You now give birth. They say, oh, she's now fat. She's no longer sexy on stage. What do we do? At what point do we say it is enough? Let us breathe. Let us breathe. So if I can change anything, it will be that. So there is a recent issue that is still ongoing. Is about a popular artist that we know. Of course, my all-time favorite Nigerian artist, Simi, right? This is a fantastic woman. And for a while now, there has been, in fact, very, very outrageous comments about her just because she decided to start taking care of family, start taking care of her child. And then we are hearing comments like, oh, this one, she has left the career to her husband. She's now married, has taken her. And those things, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what people are going through. Childbirth, giving birth, the psychological trauma of everything. People need to rest. Sometimes give them the breathing space. Rihanna is doing amazingly well, right? But now people are saying, oh, she's getting old. She's no longer fine. See how fat she is. What is it? Getting old is now a crime. So because we are in the creative sector, we are not meant to get old. Right? And then the same people, they get touched by these things. They start going for touch-up surgery and everything. They will still come and say, look at you. You are now artificial. You don't want to keep your natural self again. So these are the issues. If I have the power, I want to just scrape it because we need our mental health intact as creatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I go to safety and harassment. Just it's part of what is affecting the young creatives. I want to encourage everybody that in case of harassment, let us report abuse. Let's report abuse because we might think, what if I report my producer? It will affect my career. No, it won't. Let's get a confidential place where we can report abuse. They can't judge us anymore. People will listen to you. Report abuse. Don't think I have to sleep with this before I get to the top. No. Not that all the female creatives that are at the top, they are sleeping with people to get there. No. Please let us change our mentality. Because we all operate in a system where there are no safety and harassment is high. Please, let us report abuse. Let's work on that, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
For me, I would say, I think it would also be the internal bias. And that is because I want each and everybody in this room to know that your mind is the most powerful tool that you've got. And whatever you allow yourself to believe, I mean, it's the reality you're gonna experience, right? So it's very important that we dream big. It's very important that you know that you can fall but you can rise again. It's very important that you know that those rooms you think you're locked out of, you can get into them. Nothing is out of reach. On the final note, I'm just going to read a few lines from my favorite poem by Maya Angelou, which is titled "And Still I Rise." So it starts out saying, "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise." I'm skipping now. "You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me down with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise." Out of the hearts of history's shame, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide, I rise. So just know that regardless, it doesn't matter what point you're at in your life or what you've been through, you can rise.
Thank you very much. The objective of this panel was to create a space, where we can share our living experiences. And who can agree with me that these women have done a phenomenal job in doing that for If you think so, I think that it deserves a better round of applause. It's been interesting listening to you all, and trust me, set of people that respect the most the creative. I often wonder, how does the mind work? How do these people think? It's like they were made specially. And to Variance, we appreciate all what you do, individually as persons, and how you're extending this to, younger women. And I pray that the change we see will start with us and extend to everyone across the creative sector as well. So this is me saying that we're rounding up this discussion to open the floor for questions from the audience. So please, because of time constraints, we're only able to take maybe 1, 2, 3 questions. So if you have any question, please just indicate, and then I'll get someone across to you. Okay, I have to end up. Should we balance? Okay, another behind. Okay, do we have a mic? I can go. Okay, I'll start with Tommy. Tommy, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very interesting discussion today, and I've had a good time listening to the panelists and also to the presentation. So my question is very simple and very short. So one of the things that I observed when I got into this room, just directly, any one of them, anybody can answer, anyone in the audience, anybody can answer my question. So one of the first things I noticed was that we had the male actively engaging. I don't know, probably we say the skills, that the things that they have to do. So I noticed there was a drummer is a male, noticed the DJ is a male, and I noticed the man under the camera. In fact, we call it the cameraman is a male. But this is a very important discussion. And the fact is that it is a structural problem, like we've said and discussed, meaning that we cannot remove this particular gender from this discussion. So what roles are they playing? How can we evolve them? How are we? I don't want to ask women any more questions. I do not want to ask the women, how are they training the male child? I do not want to ask the women, how are they in their bands? But now I want to ask, how are these men involved in this conversation? And what roles will they play to make it easier for females in the creative space to thrive? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, because the question was directed to me, so I believe it may has to answer. So, in all honesty, we can't exist without the other. So if we're here saying, oh, we don't want the men at all, I think things will go bad. And if the men too say we don't want the women at all, things will also go bad. So we have to find a way to place a balance. So on the two sides, I would speak for myself personally. So I used to be in a mass choir, and we had a female drummer. She wasn't as good as I was, like, honestly. Like, I'm not even dissing anybody. But I know that, oh, this is a female drummer. She's not as, what did I do? I come. This is the song they gave you to play. This is how you will play the song. Just play this. Just do this. And it was for Redemption Camp. When we got there, all the spot, you know how all the spotlight area, I was just smiling. We were like, okay. But then that's me putting in. I always like when females try to cross over, because if you look at certain spheres, I studied computer science. We had only one girl, and like I think the set before me had only one. I think only few sets have like 5, and that's just even computer science, not engineering. So if you don't have the women come closer. I can't walk up to somebody in the car and say, okay, come here, sit down and play the drums. Or the cameraman can't bring somebody from the crowd and say, okay, stand there, you will press. You have to be the one that would come. Then when you now come, we can now draw you close and say, okay, this is how you do this, this is how you do this, this is how you do this. And without you feeling like, oh, we are trying to demean you, because women have this way of saying, oh, you don't want me to do it. You don't, oh God, just learn. Like, be able to learn, put in the work and learn. Like she said, if they give you the chance, you should be able to perform the job. That's just it. So
just to
So
add
can
something
I say
to what he
something?
said, just add something to what he said. I like what he said was like really, really correct. I just want to speak to like all the ladies here. Don't think that there's certain jobs that that if you do it, they will look at you some way like, oh, they think you're a tomboy. Listen, there are girls that work, they are carpenters, like, they do it well. They in theater, they knock, call it knock backward, they build sets and they are awesome. And one time, I think my debut like as a theater practitioner, I also doubled as a props manager. And there's something that they told me, like, oh, people don't often see that, oh, a girl will carry measuring this and go to the market and be like, oh, I know this is this by this, I know this is this by this. And maybe you think that it defines you and it makes you look like a tomboy. It doesn't. If I knock Paco today, finish, tomorrow I need to go out, I will wear my dress and put my makeup and I will still look feminine and embrace my femininity. So it doesn't mean that you have to do a crossover, that, oh, for you to do certain jobs, for you to be a drummer, you must be a tomboy. No, you can throw leg walk in a dress. What you mean? What you mean?
So for me, sorry, I think that all this is fantastic, but he spoke from his own perspective as who he is. But then there are also some men who are very naturally misogynistic, patriarchy. So there has to be some kind of mindset revamp. I don't know how we can achieve that, maybe programs and all that stuff. Because I would just say a little story about when I went for sound designing for film and television. I studied that for 3 months. And in my class, I was the only girl. They were all guys. And the first day of that class, they said, because I entered, they were all in the class already. And then I entered, they said, thank God we have a girl who, to always calm us down when we are angry. Is that why I came there? Do you understand? So I was like, so they were not like, at least you are here. You know, why the class is hot, there's a female that can. I know you before. I came here to learn. What's my own and your anger issue? So there are some men who naturally, when they see a female in that field, they feel like, oh, this one is too, the pleasurable side, the gentle side. They are there to work. I don't actually want to use the word lesser because that may not be it. They just sometimes they feel like you are there to massage the egos when something is high and all that stuff. Whereas you are there to learn like them, to do this, to do the job. So I would think that there has to be some kind of mindset revamp. When you are in an official place, this is be about the job. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to appreciate you for who you are today. And I've learned one or two things from the experiences people shared. That's what is female gender is facing in our society. And I thank God you've been able to overcome them and be who you are today. And my question is on internal and external bias. Could you please throw more, or do you mean gender bias? Thank you.
All right. So within context, when we talk about internal and external bias, yes, it has to do with gender, right? Bias can be in a lot of things, but for the purpose of this particular discourse, this particular research project, we're talking about women and how they are often relegated or discriminated against in the society. And I mentioned that, sometimes this happens. So internally, or the internal bias actually starts from an external conditioning over years or over time, I beg your pardon, we've been conditioned to think that, oh, because you're a woman, you need to, take the lesser position, or you should be seen and not heard. We hear often hear some ridiculous things like that, and they were true actually. Long ago in the village, or even in Bible times, I always like to refer to the Bible when Jesus said that, oh, love your wives and all of that. It was more or less a kind of outrageous thing to say, because in that time women were not considered. They were not considered. Like, even when they gathered to worship, they would worship in a separate place. They were not even allowed to sit and learn or sit and read or all that. Those things have been happening over time. Even when they brought civilization to Nigeria, you hear stories of how they will allow the boys to go to school while the girls will not go to school. What are you going to school for? Just go and learn how to cook, so that as at time you're like maybe 16, 15, you're married, you're your husband's house. So over time, we have been reduced to domesticated or domestic responsibilities. And then it kind of conditions us to think internally. And as such, you don't see women even striving. It's hard for you to see, or you go to a school, maybe average public school, and you don't see women that are actually striving to be there. In fact, even in their dreams, they are dreaming, oh, let me marry a rich man so that he can. They're not, even in their dreams, they are poor. It started from an external conditioning, and then at some point, you don't even see the possibilities that lie ahead of you. So they are both very valid, they are both very, very real, and they both need to be tackled. In as much as we're tackling the external part, we also need to reassure these young girls, like she said, in their formative years, that listen, the world is yours to take. You can excel. I am a very staunch believer of you can excel outside and still excel in your home. One does not have to suffer for the other one. You can be a CEO and you're still a good mother at home. When you look at people like Ibuku Aweshika, she has a home that's working. Find your rhythm, find what works for you, but one does not have to suffer for the other. So you don't go to either extreme. You don't also think that, oh, if I aspire to get married, it means that I am less. No, you can, and that's why who you marry really matters. But that's a whole different conversation. So you aspire to perspire, to maguire in all aspects of your life. Dream it, you can be there.
Thank you so much. Wanted to answer. That's all she's covered it. Okay. All right. Unfortunately, those are the questions we're able to take for this session. You can agree with me, it's been a very, very interesting one. So I want us to appreciate our panelists and keep appreciating them till they get back to their seat. Thank you very much, Jennifer, Mrs. Caraway, Fiona, and Yolanda. Thank you so much.
Please, let's give them a round of applause once again. Thank you to our moderator, and thank you for amazing panelists. Okay, one of the panelists mentioned that we have lots of men who find it difficult to work under women. I'm here to say that I'm not one of them. If as a woman I can learn from you, then why should I find it difficult to work under you? Do you understand? Or do we have men like that here? Do we have men like that? Oh, that's good. So thank you very, very much. From this conversation, one thing is very obvious, and it's the fact that Nigeria's creative sector, or let me say Africa's creative sector in general, cannot afford to be merely profitable alone, right? It has to be inclusive, it has to be equitable, it has to be safe, and it as well has to be designed in a way that would allow women to actively partake in the sector. So ladies and gentlemen, please let's give them a round of applause once again. So thank you very much. So after such a rich conversation, it's important that we now pause briefly for a creative interlude from two of our youth researchers. Please give them a round of applause as I will introduce them. So think of it beyond policy conversations we have had here, beyond data that we have shared. It's also important that we also entertain ourselves, because it is one of the reasons why we are here. So we have two of our youth researchers. First on the list is Only Tomi. Please give her a round of applause as she makes her way to the stage. And also we have Noella Flav. Yes. Please give her a round of applause as she makes her way to the stage too.
Trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off a dream in me. Getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand. Will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, all the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. Towers of gold are still too little. This hands could hold the world, but it'll never be enough, never be enough for me, for never, for me. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough.
Very much, formats. Thank you, only thank you, Umbrella. Okay. So while the session was ongoing, we would love to take, before we proceed to the next phase of this event, need to take pictures for our panelists. We have members from the Developers Communication Units here, and they will take their lead any moment from now. So, our panelists, please kindly on your feet. All right, thank you very much. We are now moving to almost to the next phase of the program, which is the solution session. You would agree with me that this is a critical part of today's gathering, and this is where we'll be presenting the presentation of brief, and this will be done by one of our very own youth researchers. That's Mr. Okwe. Please give him a round of applause as we go to the stage. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the section of the United States projects and the presentation, the policy and evidence. We would like to start with policy. The presentation of projects was given earlier by should give us a fully detailed background of the study that we conducted 3 years on the analysis for the study. And then this is became as a result of the need for evidential evidences to prove the fact that the barriers that female creatives face in the Nigerian and African creative sector as a whole. So, in the course of our study for the past 3 years, we gathered evidential results that proved these our ideologies and hypotheses. As earlier stated, it's not a known fact that over 2.5 of the Nigerian creative economy, the Nigerian economy is not the Nigerian creative economy. But the major issue with this is, out of this 2.5, less than 0.5% of women benefit from this process. And this is as a result of different issues with regards to this. We conducted studies using various methodologies in research, qualitative and quantitative research methodologies, where we were able to bring our findings. We administered online surveys to people. We conducted in-depth interviews and informal interviews. And in these interviews, we were able to find various things out. We discovered in our surveys that over 50% of the women that we conducted these surveys fell between the ages of 18 and 25 years old, and the mean age of 25 to 3 years.
84% were single and never married, 55% held bachelor's degrees, 91% intended to pursue long-term creative careers, 54% use media as their primary creative workplace. In the course of this episode, we were able to discover that there is policy void framework. Yeah, in the sense that there are frameworks without foundations. Yes, it is not enough fact that we have bodies, governmental bodies and stakeholder bodies that administer policies, but there are no checks and balances. There are not all commitment to make sure that these policies are put in place. You can see from here the architecture of exclusion, compounding career barriers to female grades. You can see leadership deficit. See that there's exclusion of leadership positions for women. There is the belief that a woman shouldn't hold any top leadership position in any creative sector. There's infrastructural geographical limits. Lack of physical halls and theaters and cinemas, especially in the northern parts of Nigeria. This is a major deficit in the creative and the visual and theater parts of the creative industry. We discover safety void. Over 90% of harassment rates drive rapid attributions at the earliest stage. We also discover economic exclusion, growth blockages. High banks in Nigeria refuse to give loans and grants to female creatives. They prefer to give a man a loan or a grant for whatever creative idea he has, because they believe that, or as a man, he must have more experience in that particular field. And oftentimes that might not be the case, but there is the belief that there is security with giving men loans. And then this is a major barrier to female creatives in Nigeria. The internalized gender bias. We also discovered that in as much as there is external gender bias, there is a very large rate of internalized gender bias where female creatives that hold leadership positions would restrict other female creatives from getting higher levels in the office. For instance, a female creative that is a boss in a particular field, she wouldn't want to give a subordinate the opportunity to express herself and maybe rise to that level. Because she also believes that before she got there, she knew what she had to go through before getting to that particular position. We also discovered that women had to discover different coping mechanisms to be able to survive these gender inequities and issues that surround the creative sector. Then through our research, we were able to find interlocking policy intervention, one, regulatory policies, mandate anti-harassment equal pay laws, and embed general equity in cultural policies. Incentive-based, provide grants, tax reliefs, and procurement advantages for equitable practices, guide and associations, empower unions for collective bargaining, peer accountability, and codes of conduct. Female champion-led, amplify women leaders to drive non-change via sponsorship and advocacy. 4, monitoring and evaluation, mandate gender disaggregated data tracking and evidence-based research, such as what the behind the scenes is currently doing. So, one of the conclusions of our findings is to make sure that these regulations of anti-harassment laws and equal pay is fully put into practice. Make sure that the governmental bodies, the stakeholders, the institutions, make sure that these laws are enforced. To make sure that grants and tax reliefs are given to female creatives, to make sure that There are more professional bodies and associations that support female creatives in Nigeria, making sure that wherever it is that there are opportunities for male creatives, equal opportunities are created for female creatives. So also make sure that there is equal opportunities for running for positions of leadership, just like men. For instance, in our findings, we noticed that oftentimes when at companies and establishments, when there are opportunities to run for a leadership position, they always sideline women, even some of the women that are more qualified for this position. So in conclusion, we said it is known that the Nigerian creative economy cannot achieve full microeconomical potential without equal participation of women. Intentional policy reforms are required immediately. Gender equity must be embedded into law, finance, leadership, and infrastructure. The outcome is not just for social justice, but it's for inclusive growth, maximize productivity, and for supreme global competitiveness. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for the listening. Earlier, I didn't mention it, and I said development is inclusive. The more certain development of the society, we must also appreciate the role of women. Let's bring a round of applause for this. So, while the session was going on, we had some distinguished individuals with us, they joined us. Now, please let's give Dr. Edele Otako a round of applause. Dr. Briggs for now, a round of applause. Let's give Dr. Enrique Chairman a round of applause. And let's give Dr. Enrique let's give all of them a round of applause. It will be similar to something very interesting around the leadership first. Yes, okay. Thank you so much for that. We'll entertain questions in the brief presented. This is the session where we'll entertain questions. Do we have anybody with questions? Yeah, thank you everyone for what you've done to put this together. I listened to the speakers one. As a professor of gender and development, I want to say women inequities, inequalities to be addressed. We have a long work to freedom. Why is that? Because gender norms are stronghold. You know when something is a stronghold, it's difficult to uproot. So as we keep making progress by doing programs like this, we still have a long way to go and we are improving. So I want to advise all the female creatives that you should be resilient. The key word there is to be what? Resilient, because the gender norm is such that even your sibling or anyone will try to pull you down. So you believe in yourself, you don't allow societal discrimination. I heard the first speaker forgot to be okay. About the shaming, it won't go on. So however, keep creating awareness, keep advocating, and keep doing what you're doing, and the statistics will keep improving. There is still a lot of people. So I want to comment on behind the scenes skills, receptive project whatsoever. Thank you for your job well done. So we should also go long way to improve the situation better. People feel far of them. Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause. We also use the round to play Nigeria along the places. Thank you so much. So we're now moving to another section, and we are wrapping up with this particular element, and we're going to return again to the language of criticism and expression. This time around, We have two brilliant graduates of music here, also youth researchers from the behind the scenes project. We have Ms. Peaches and also Mr. Joseph. Please give them a round of applause as we get ready to.
Hello everyone. I love this song so much and it's my favorite. It's my anthem. Anybody who knows me knows that I always sing this song because it's so powerful and it talks about rising up. And I feel like this is the best song for this event. Sing with me if you know it, please. Broken down and tired of living life on merry-go-round. And you can find the fire. I see you, so we can work it out and move mountains, walk it out and move. We all run as a man. The way we all run but I see it.
Oh
my God.
I really understand you stars. Even I have one now. Thank you very much, Joseph, and thank you so much, Peaches. So there's a saying that whatever that has a beginning, definitely. We come to the end of today's program, and but before then, somebody joined us. One of our distinguished faculty joined us across the program. And please, I want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will not arrive at the beginning of today's dissemination event. And I will be bringing on stage principal investigator, person of Professor Michael Olaoluwa, who is going to give you a round of applause.
Just want to say thank you to everyone here present. We have kept you beyond now that we promised, and you concentrated with us, and we are not taking that for granted. We're grateful for the time we have spent with us. We thank you for how you communicate. So I just want to say also that this is just the beginning. And this is the start of two dissemination events. The final national dissemination event will be on the 29th at Radisson Hotel. And not Radisson View. Yeah, there's Radisson and there's Radisson View. Okay, often when people hear Radisson, they are good. So you may go to the wrong venue. Okay, it's at Radisson Hotel in Canada. So please keep that they are happy to have you in attendance on the 29th of that on Friday, last Friday of the month. It starts at 10 a.m. Registration will be from 9:30 to 10. Please, if you plan to come, don't come. I also want to use this opportunity to appreciate ITRW and also Market Foundation for funding the project. And I would also like to especially appreciate the Lagos State Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture for walking this journey with us. We're very grateful. And those who are friends of the team, we thank you very much. We're grateful if you putting present. We hope that on the 29th, we will see you. My only concern is what I mentioned earlier. So I appeal if we plan to come with us, let us do everything possible and it stops. I don't think 29th will be a public holiday. I think we look at a public holiday in Lagos because there will be I think there will be a Muslim holiday on the 27th and on the 28th. And we know how the Russians take such holidays. It makes sense. We don't we have seen and then that's no worries on Monday. So it is very likely that it will be a very busy day on the road. So I appeal that we come. Thank you very much, Professor. Yes, my HOD, thank you very much for your support from the very beginning. And we thank members of the committee advisory group who have also been with us from the very beginning of this journey. Welcome. Thank you. There will be live refreshment. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
After now, I think we will also be an opportunity for us to know one another here is that you don't leave this place until you have met someone here, someone you never met before in the house. Okay. Thank you all very much for your support. Thank you for being our journey. It's my belief that together we can win this battle. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Provide information on what the arrangement is like. Giving that information. Arrangement for president.
Good afternoon, everyone. We had a wonderful day and a great pursuit, and I'm just going to be very quick. So you've registered at the door, we're going to be with 10:10, so I'm sure I'll come to you on this count, and you can move through that exit, just for your reflection and space around. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your presence in the I look forward to seeing you all on the 29th of May. And also, please, we need to take pictures. Let's all be on our feet and then make the front here, right? Yes. Yes. So please, let's be on our feet and then make the front for the picture. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Everybody go out. Next. Everybody please just walk. Exactly. As I do you one by one, good now. Stop. Yes. Outside, outside. Because the picture is not happening outside, like taking pictures outside.
Thank you, sir.
I